But just going back to the TACFIT, like you guys did the FlowFit cert the last 2 days. Mm-hmm. We started the TACFIT today, and I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on we talked briefly about it, but just talk about like flow, and then just your experience of teaching it this weekend, after doing it, being a practitioner, right? For so many years.
Well, yeah, for me, it's the first time actually teaching FlowFit, like in a cert. But for me, it's where it all makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like everything else, all the other systems, TACFIT, Club Bell, CST, like if they don't come down to this, to FlowFit, to intuitive flow, they are like, you're removing the base. Like they lack sustenance, because this is where health relies in movement. On finding restrictions, so assessment, and having tools to assess yourself and your clients, on having tools to remove those restrictions, not only directly, but also by allowing your brain to remove those itself passively, without you having to actively repeat something. You just open a new road. It's like, I want to get from here to here, but I have a wall. I have two options. Well, I have a lot of options. You always have more options. I can demolish the wall. I can jump over the wall if I'm springy enough. I can go around the wall if there's a side. I can open a little door. I can like dig like I have so many options. Most people just try to punch their way through the wall, and that's where you find injury. You're just breaking yourself to get to where you want to be, and that's obviously not the smartest decision. So with FlowFit, we are teaching our brain that there are other paths it can take that do not entail additional damage to the structure, but actually facilitates the process. And if, for example, let's say I start walking to go around the wall, and I have to keep going, depending on how restricted the person is and how disconnected. Scott refers to this as sensory motor amnesia. Depending on how dormant that pathway is, you might have to go a long way around that pathway, so to find the end of that wall, to finally be able to get where you want to be. And that might take a lot of time. But when you finally find it, it's like, wow, this is so refreshing. And from there, you can start working on shipping the wall a little bit at a time, till you're back to the straight line, which is the shorter distance and the ideal distance, and the way we were meant to be as far as neuromuscular pathway goes. That's like my metaphor.
I love when you shot the instructional. You just talk about always talk about the fountain of youth or TACFIT. It's the fountain of youth, and just basically like you said that, right? Like you lose mobility, that's how you age, and so you basically stop the process.
And I think
aging.
You see that in I see that being on the first responder side of the world now, and seeing people at their worst. It's sad to see, there are people that have eroded into like diseases that I would consider diseases of accelerated aging, and it starts with losing mobility. They lost the ability to move, get up and down off the ground. They're not independent anymore. They don't feel like they can take care of themselves, and very quickly, we have. It sounds strange, but even in 911, the response team, we have people that we see regularly in the community because they don't have any other medical care options, so they call 911 a lot. And I have seen a couple of times already a patient who went from pretty healthy and normal to passing away within a year because they lost mobility.
They couldn't move anymore.
And it just, it's a cascade of things. It's like anything, right? You don't die from the loss of mobility, but it leads to other things. Yeah. And so it feels like for me, FlowFit is, the ability to restore mobility, and essentially what you're doing is remapping the brain, right? Scott talks about the fact that if you can't move in a certain direction, it's because your brain has erased that. And it's erased that map, amnesia. Right? Like your brain erases that map as a defense mechanism because it doesn't want you to go into a restricted place where you might injure yourself. So it's there to serve you, but it's serving you in terms of survival, not in terms of longevity. Right. And so to restore mobility, you're remapping the brain, you're growing the brain, which is, of course, that's almost like the antidote to aging as well. So you got two tools, two sides of the coin that are accelerating your anti-aging process. It feels like you're getting younger when you get better at moving, and that's
And you do
just
feel
so
younger.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if pain starts to go away, mobility starts to come back. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
And it's never too late, right?
It's
Never.
Right.
And like my dad, right? He's, has been, after he had COVID like 3 times and, whatever.
Oh,
He was
that's
just in a
right.
senior home, but, I'm seeing that,
Yeah.
like first, then he's in wheelchair and then can't even get out of bed. And now he's
Yeah.
in bed and he's getting like stiffer and stiffer and stiffer. And it's hard to even move him now and sit him up. Yeah. So it's like
sorry.
firsthand. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's life, right?
I know
But
he was doing really good.
Yeah,
I
he
saw a
was.
picture of you holding his hands and him standing up, and there was some progress there for a while.
yeah, he's on a lot of like medication and I don't know. It's just like too many chemicals, he's a lot of stuff
All the
going
side
on.
effects and
I think so, I think so. I
unintended
think it
side
stops
effects.
the communication in the body and you just
Also,
get
One of
disconnected.
the way medication works is that you give medication or when the body's unable to fulfill the task itself. So when the medication is present, even through the healing process, if the body sees that the task at hand is already been taken care of,
by medication.
the body just never wakes
Forgets
up
it,
that-
forgets
doesn't
it
do
too.
Yeah.
You don't use it,
yeah.
you lose it. Right?
That's why, like, sometimes I think in terms of that, like you said that today for TACFIT, right? Like movement is, or I think Rob said movement is medication, right? Like you can't overdose it and you can't underdose it. It has to be the
Yes.
most effective minimum dose. And I think it's the same thing with taking care of people. It's, supplements are great, but supplements aren't great if they're taking the place of the body's natural process, because then you forget how to do the thing.
Yeah.
You become dependent.
Yeah, you become dependent.